Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Today is the 31st of August, 2016. Our sun sign is in Virgo. Our moon sign is also in Virgo. Just a reminder of what this is all about here. We have the Hermit, so we have a double Hermit today, holding the lantern high for others to see what's going on. Remember, the light represents information. The Hermit is all of us. We go into a place where we're able to gather information. We bring that information out. We hold the lantern high for others to see. So a lot is going on in terms of that. We're shining this light bright for others to see what's going on in the physical reality. Because that's the reality that we're in at this moment in time. We shine the light bright because in the physical reality where things are a bit denser than the other realities, we have to be able to maneuver through it. And information seems to be a key to this particular realm. Information can stop us and block us from moving forward. Information can free us up so we can move forward. So here, our objective is to shine the light for us and for others to see what is going on around us. So let's look at some of these other aspects and what's going on today. Okay, so the aspects we're looking at for today, the only thing we really have going on is the moon is making the transition into Virgo, as I just mentioned. So that takes place at 10:22 a.m. So we're going to have both a sun sign and an earth sign in Virgo for today. The moon sign presently is just a sliver. It's in the waning moon. We're almost back to that new moon again. It's 0.07 or 0.7% of the way there. On the Jewish calendar, it is 27 Av. 27 Av. The daily thought for today is dissatisfied on purpose. So you are not happy with the way things are in your world, your community, your house, your own self. Who says things were designed to make you happy? God Himself is dissatisfied with all of it. He made such a world and put you here within it to do your part in fixing it. Be strong, take on a load, and rejoice that soon will be a world which you had a hand in building. Spaceweather.com, solar weather is 448.5 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet at the moment. However, the next 24 hours, we're going to get into the unsettled range, jumping up to a 4. Coronal holes, we still have that large coronal hole open up on top of the sun. We're going to feel the effect of that over the course of this day. We're feeling it already. M-class flare possibility is increasing slightly from 5% to 10%. X-class is at 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity seems to be subsiding in the mid-latitudes, going from 25 down to 20%. In the upper latitudes, it seems to be stable all around, 15, 20, and 15% respectively in the different regions of the high latitude. A little look here at this eclipse that is coming up. We have an eclipse here. You could see it's 15 hours, 48 minutes, and 14 seconds from right now is when it begins. It says the annual solar eclipse will be visible from Madagascar and locations in Central Africa. The moon's shadow will also cross parts of the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans. For most viewers in Africa, the eclipse will be a partial solar eclipse. The eclipse will begin at 16:13 Universal Time, September 1st, 2016. The maximum point will take place at 9:01 Universal Time with annularity for about 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Okay, so there's an idea of what it's going to look like as it goes through. Little article here, real-time astrology, new moon solar eclipse in Virgo. A little more detail about what this eclipse is all about. The new moon solar eclipse at 9 degrees Virgo takes place Thursday, September 1st, 4:03 a.m. Central Standard Time. It is an annual solar eclipse, meaning that it will create the visible coronal ring, ring of fire, most people associate with eclipses. The closer an eclipse is to the moon's nodes, the stronger, with north nodes at 12 degrees Virgo. This does set us up for a powerful and intense eclipse. The sun, new moon, and north node all in Virgo will be joined by Mercury retrograde in exact conjunction to Jupiter at 28 degrees Virgo. That's quite the five-star stellium. The Virgo new moon solar eclipse stellium will also form a formidable mutable T-square by squaring Mars at 14 degrees Sagittarius and Saturn at 10 degrees Sagittarius and opposing Neptune retrograde at 10 degrees Pisces. The orbs are tight for this one, no room for anything but a major event. The depth, power, and complexity of everything that's going into this eclipse gives me a sense of the perfect storm, and that it will probably be easier to assess the aftermath than trying to understand it as it unfolds. This eclipse, along with the equally important Pisces full moon lunar eclipse on September 16th, occurs in a mutable sign forming a mutable T square. Here's a refresher on what that means for a previous post. Click on the link there. So the cardinal signs Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn are usually thought of as the most changeable, but actually it's the job of the cardinal signs to simply initiate the change. Triggering points and pot stirring. Each of the cardinal signs start in equinox. The fixed signs Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius stabilize and solidify the actions of the cardinal signs. So it's the mutable signs that are most changeable as they follow the fixed signs but precede the cardinal signs. They adapt and adjust to the curbs in the road, the flows of nature, with the cardinal signs starting a new season. Each, the mutable signs show the anticipation of the new seasons, the feeling of change in the air that can vary from one day to the next, unlike the quickly changing winter in the months between the seasons. Okay, let's see here. Gets into all the technical stuff. Says, well, okay, says, well, the Pisces full moon eclipse that happens on the 16th clears psychic terrain. To facilitate this clearing, we must first clear up our act in our basic everyday roles. As Earth sign, Virgo sees a type of spiritual healing in the healing of the physical bodies and the environment we live in. I'm worried about natural disasters, earthquakes in particular, at both eclipses this September, but more so at the Virgo solar eclipse. It is the stronger of the two, and so strongly triggers the exact Saturn Neptune square, which makes breakdown of natural structure easy. Okay, so there's more to this article. I'm going to leave that for you to read. And one last piece here. This is on Mercury retrograde, which we are also involved with. This last started yesterday, the 30th, and it goes to the 22nd. It goes between the 28th and the 14th degree of Virgo. It says Mercury rules Virgo, so right away, Mercury is in a strong position. Those who have Mercury as their chart ruler or have personal planets touched by this Mercury retrograde will probably find this a surprisingly fortunate period. It is a challenging one, yes, but in a way where we have really achieved something. Let's look at how Mercury fares in each of these Virgo decans. All right, in the first decan, Mercury in Virgo decan 3, August 30th to the 13th. That's the first section here. Quickwits are highlighted. Formidable orators take the stage, and intriguing debates happen at this time. Mercury can inspire, sharpening the mind. Communication skills are important, whether intellectual or artistic. Academia welcomes this position of Mercury since it is the archetypal studious librarian. Unexpectedly, there's also a whole lot of animal magnetism here and the paradox of someone who is prim and scholarly, but also secretly foxy. We might see people in the media playing down their sexuality or attractiveness in order to be taken seriously. There is a great period for research and having great judgment. So, after sober and careful study, those touched by this Mercury retrograde produce an analysis of current affairs that is totally spot on. Sometimes an ability to zone into the heart of the matter is envied, by less competent individuals. Therefore, losses through writings can mean slander from rivals. The second decan, which goes from the 14th of September to the 22nd, 23rd, prophetic ability. Mercury is the focus of this decan. Here, Mercury is a powerful healer and quite magical. Dedication to the priestess role and the being of service is important. Having said that, Hermes' mental ability can be used to manifest great wealth, which can be used in a positive, philanthropic way. Virgo Deacon 2 is a great position for doing business, as those turned into the zone will have a real knack for knowing the ups and downs of the market. The Persephone like Deacon can attract Pluto in a positive sense, in that it is easily pools and wealthy investors for business deals. It should be easy to conjure up funding for any projects. The ability to do prophecy gives Mercury a great real edge when it comes to gambling and playing the stock market. Even though the markets are jittery, some people could make a lucky fortune at this time, and those who have less materialistic concerns will be attracted to helping others rise above their victimhood. All right, so I'm going to leave it there at the first two because we're just got to get through the first one first. Mercury retrogrades are usually some challenging times. So there you have it. That's our cosmic weather for today. Double Earth is what we're dealing with. Virgo and Virgo. Things are pretty stable as we could see in the energy around us. So let's just move accordingly. Remember, we have the Mercury retrograde we're dealing with, and we have the eclipse coming up. All powerful energies in and of themselves. So just proceed accordingly. The articles are available so you can read them, check them out, get a little bit more information on those particular topics. That's it for the cosmic weather. UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today, I have 5 good stories for you. Let's check them out. Okay, so our first story is about an alien base entrance found under a floating island in Argentina. All right, here's our object in question. Location. And it does stand out, doesn't it? Looking a little bit strange right there. Its location is Buenos Aires. It says a floating island has been found not far from Buenos Aires, Argentina on Google Map, and it rotates in a circle. Argentina has an overabundance of UFO sightings compared to the rest of the world, and I believe this is how aliens try to hide this particular entrance to their base. The shape is large and circular, big enough to fit a 100-meter UFO through it. The water below this floating island needs to be dove into and explored. Okay, says the eye of the circle of land surrounded by a thin channel of water with an outside diameter of 130 yards. Both the inner and the outer circles are perfect. The center circle moves and rotates on its own axis. How long had the eye been there? What caused this weird formation? Why does it move? How can it last for so long intact without deforming? How is it possible that having no water currents, aquatic plants don't grow uncovered entirely? We decided to investigate further. First, we made our overland expedition with some equipment in which the impenetrable vegetation and swamp left us only 900 yards from the circle, completely exhausted. We organized a second expedition. After 8 hours of walking through the different paths, we arrived. We discovered this water is incredibly clear and cold, something totally unusual in the area. The bottom is hard in contrast to the swampy marshes surrounding it. The central part floats. We do not over what, but it floats. We want to return with a complete scientific expedition having scuba gear, geologists, biologists, ufologists, specialized drones, and more, and take samples of the water, soil, plants, and all other objects we may find. We want to understand the eye's relation with the supernatural stories told by locals. We plan to make a movie with all the material from expedition organization to find evaluation of the samples in the laboratory. We need you to be part of this adventure, help us finance this project, and watch as we unfold the mystery. surrounding the eye, an opportunity exclusive to the project's contributors. It is a concrete, irrefutable, strange phenomena located in the inaccessible place that had never been reached by men. Join us for the first to discover it. All right, so we have a 4-minute, 52-second video. It really gets into this subject. Here we have the gentleman involved with the making of the project. So I'm going to leave that for you to check it out further. Let's move on to the next story here. Okay, now we've all heard about this signal from space, I'm certain. Yesterday we were talking about it on all the various news stations. Astronomers' alleged strong radio signal from space. Does it signify alien existence? Alien existence has become the world's most controversial topic, simply because strange orbs, humanoid creatures, and strange lights have continued to show up. Since witnesses have fought for their beliefs, we are left with questions as to whether or not our government has concealed the fact. Well, the group of Russian astronomers had picked up a very strong, mysterious radio signal from space. The radio signal has become the most controversial object since most people connect it to the possibility of alien existence. The appearance of the signal is appealing because it appears like a sunlike star. The astronomers utilized the Rotan 600 radio telescope. The instrument is a massive radio observatory in Zelenchukskaya, Russia. According to the data, the signal came from HD 164595, star's direction located 95 light years from the Earth. The fact is intriguing since both the star and the sun have the same size and it is acknowledged to have a planet in its orbit. Granting the resemblance and explanation, it is possible that other planets are in the solar exist. The signal is not new at all because astronomers found it a year ago. However, it is making headlines for a few reasons. The fact that the astronomers waited to tell the SETI it is acceptable that once the signal is found, people connect it to the extraterrestrial activity right away. It is going to be hard to confirm what the radio telescope picked up last year was genuine. Discovering a repeated signal after the original detection is strange. Also, it is not clear what the signal was. It can be connected to a message from another civilization or just an effect of a natural space object. Okay, so to show you, there is an article here going back to last May when the signal was first picked up. And it says alien life found, extraterrestrial strong signal from Russian telescope is detected. Scientists say SETI researchers are buzzing about the strong spike in radio signals that seem to come from the direction of the sun-like star in the constellation Hercules, known as HD 164595. The signal conceivably fits the profile for an intentional transmission from an extraterrestrial source, but could also be a case of earthly radio interference or a microlensing event in which the star's gravitational field focused stray signals coming from much further away. In any case, the blip is interesting enough to merit discussion by those who specialize in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, including Centauri Dreams' Paul Glister, who brought the case to the public's eye this weekend. Okay, so you can see this isn't a new bit of information. This has been in the making for well over a year and finally coming to light with it. Triangle-UFO over on tape over DeLand, Florida. Here's one interesting video of an unknown light and triangle formation hovering in the sky above DeLand, Florida. This was on the 29th when it was filmed. The witness says the thing flew by me from the south, made a loop, and went back to the south. If you can blow up the video, I could see it as a triangle, went outside to dump trash, noticed the blinking lights flying from the south at a very high altitude, then came back, went back inside, came back outside, smoked a cigarette. About 5 to 10 minutes later, the craft had circled around and was heading back south, flying at a much lower altitude. The video was shot with an iPhone, so it should be able to blow it up. With my eye, I could see it was a triangle. I shot the video while I was outside. Okay, so you can see the object right here in the middle. But as I said, you got to blow up the screen to get a good look at it, so I'm going to leave that for you. And finally, one last story. This is about a book that you might want want to check out. It's by Richard Dolan. Richard Dolan is an expert in the field of ufology. He's written many wonderful books on the subject, very informative books. It says, will the UFO cover-up ever end? Richard Dolan thinks so. His book is called UFOs for the 20th Century Mind, a fresh guide to an ancient mystery. This book was written by Richard Dolan, one of the world's leading researchers and writers on the subject of UFOs. He also authored UFOs in a National Security State, and both books are groundbreaking works which together provide the most factually complete and accessible narratives of the UFO subject available anywhere. Dolan co-authored a speculative book about the future as well called AD, After Disclosure, which was the very first ever analysis not only of how UFO secrecy might end, but also of the all-important question of what happens next. Dolan believes UFOs constitute the greatest mystery of our time. UFOs for the 21st Century Mind has received incredible reviews. Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell called the book monumental, and Hal Punthoff, one of the chief scientists involved in the U.S. government Stargate program, said it's a must-read for serious students in the field. Prior to his interest in UFOs, Richard completed his graduate work at the University of Rochester, where he studied U.S. Cold War strategy, European history, and international diplomacy. Before that, he had studied at Alfred University and Oxford University and was a finalist for a Rhodes Scholarship. For beginners and experienced researchers alike, historian Richard Dolan covers the full range of this incredibly complex topic in his book. He offers insights into everything connected to UFOs, ancient aliens, modern encounters, abductions, channelers, the politics and cover-up, the black budget world, the bizarre science, the social dimensions, YouTube, Facebook, the future, and much more. In addition, as one of ufology's pioneers in the deep analysis of the cover-up, he offers original perspective on how it all works and why the cover-up is bound to end. He also writes in the nature of contact, speculating on those others might be. Finally, Dolan takes the reader through the weird science of UFOs, covering everything from propulsion and space-time to consciousness and more. The topic of unidentified flying objects has gained a tremendous amount of popularity in recent years, especially after their existence was verified by dozens of governments and documents released from the Freedom of Information Act and by the academians and high-ranking military and political personnel. Keep in mind that UFO does not mean extraterrestrial, but when you have objects at very high altitude performing maneuvers that defy our known laws of physics, it's easy to see why some people make that connection. All right, so excellent, excellent. Check out this book. All right, that is our UFO news for today. So lots of good information, and of course we'll keep tabs on what they decide this signal is from space that they got a year ago that they're just reporting right now. And all the stories are available, firstcontactradio.com, so you can check them out. Stay tuned. I'll be back in just a few moments. We'll continue on.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Hope everybody is waking up today. Lots going on in the world. As you can know, this election process is kind of crazy. A lot of information coming out about Hillary. It seems to be coming out on a daily basis. We understand there's a lot of lies and deception around this woman. Here's one story that's very important for you to know. Hopefully, one of these is going to stick, and we're going to actually see Hillary get drug off to jail one of these days. But here's this story here, very important story about her and possibly having disqualified herself. Okay, so this first story we have here, former Attorney General says Clinton may have disqualified herself for elected office. Michael McCaskey, who was the United States Attorney General from 2007 to 2009, showed up on Morning Joe today to discuss Hillary Clinton's private server debacle and how it was going to play out. This wasn't his first cable news hit on the subject, and he'd been making the rounds pointing out that this investigation is not a witch hunt. As he has said in interviews over the weekend, most of the information being discussed was nothing new. The panel talked about how Hillary's decision to not only have a private server but to fail to properly classify the contents was a violation of department policy, if not the law. But then, in response to one question from Scarborough, McCaskey went a step further and said that Clinton may have disqualified herself from elected office if the allegations proved to be true. Now, that's a phrase we've heard before, but generally in a philosophical sense. If you do this or that bad thing, you essentially disqualified yourself as being a leader of the free world. But when the former Attorney General was pressed on the question, he informed the panel that he was speaking specifically of federal statute. Joking that it was a common subject around his family breakfast table, he said, Title 18, Section 2071. The statute starts out in this paragraph, subsection A. Whoever willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys, or attempts to do so, or with the intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other thing filed or deposited with any clerk or officer, or any court of the United States, or any public office, or with any judicial or public officer of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both. That paragraph, that's along the same lines as the things we've been discussing all along, but the big news is in paragraph section B. Whoever having the custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys shall be fined under this title or prisons not more than 3 years, or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. As used in this subsection, the term office does not include the office held by any person as a retired officer of the armed forces of the United States. So wouldn't wiping classified records, assuming that it's proven by the FBI, from your private server, or directing others to do so through that server while they're sitting in a bathroom in Colorado, qualify as removing, obliterating, or destroying said records? This may shed some new light on why Hillary Clinton has been so unwilling to answer some very basic questions when facing the press. She has finally been asked directly by Ed Henry if she either wiped the server or directed that it be wiped. She tried to write that off with the joke saying, "You mean with a cloth?" But her legal team has surely been looking the situation over very closely and are doubtless aware of Title 18, Section 2071, Paragraph B. If the answer to the question is actually yes, and she admits it in public, well, she could well be literally ending her presidential bid, not to mention opening herself up to the possibility of fine or jail time, or both. So is this what finally brings Clinton down? Well, don't bet the ranch on it. It would require the will on the part of those not only investigating but prosecuting the case to see it through to the end. And there will be people in the State Department as well as the media fighting tooth and claw the entire way to keep claiming that this is some grand machination of the vast right wing conspiracy to derail the hopes of a historic presidential candidate. But at some point, the evidence has to build up to the point where the public simply can't ignore it. So, what's next? All right, we'll see how that one plays out. Hopefully, it'll work out in the favor of the American people. One of these things has to stick. I mean, she's just lying, 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 and then she's lying some more. So, eventually, something is going to have to happen. But she's so protected by everyone around her, the media as well, that it's really been a challenging situation. But I know people are going to continue on with this, continuing on to try to nail her for all of her lies and corruption, and rightly so. Now, the reason there's all this corruption is because there is a concerted effort to deceive the people. Okay, this isn't just a random thing that is occurring, it is a very well orchestrated event. And anybody who has been presenting information in the realm of conspiracy has been dealing with this particular situation for a while. So I pulled together a couple good stories and information about how you and I are being manipulated through attempts by covert agencies. And it's quite intricate. It's quite intricate. So this first thing I'm going to show you here, it's a video. I want you to take a look at this video. It's called The Conspiracy Theory Conspiracy by Adam Green. It's a 2 hour and 9 minute movie, and it is very, very good compilation of the way in which the media has been downplaying the whole conspiracy idea. Throughout the course of this, you can see them not only making fun of people who are studying this subject, but how it's a continual effort to really dismiss them. And as the movie moves along, you start seeing the history of how individuals within these groups are really putting others down and why they're doing this. You see, it's an agenda. So I wanted to leave this to you so you can watch this. It's a very good educational piece, well worth your time. Now, here's one of the articles and things that was discussed in there, and this is kind of the crux of the matter. This is an article by Glenn Greenwald called How Covert Agencies Infiltrate the Internet to Manipulate, Deceive, and Destroy Reputations. One of the many pressing stories that remains to be told from the Snowden archive is how Western intelligence agencies are attempting to manipulate and control online discourse with extreme tactics of deception and reputation destruction. It's time to tell a chunk of the story, complete with relevant documents. Over the last several weeks, I worked with NBC News to publish a series of articles about dirty tricks tactics used by GCHQ's previously secret unit, JTRIG, otherwise known as the Joint Threat Research Intelligence Group. These were based on 4 classified GCHQ documents presented to the NSA and the other 3 partners in the English-speaking Five Eyes Alliance. Today, we at The Intercept are publishing another new JT-RIG document in full entitled The Art of Deception, Training for Online Covert Operations. By publishing these stories one by one, the NBC reporting highlighted some of the key discrete revelations: the monitoring of the YouTube and Blogger, the targeting of Anonymous with the same DDoS attacks they accuse hacktivists of using, the use of honey traps, which is luring people into compromising situations using sex and destructive viruses. But here I want to focus and elaborate on the overarching point revealed by all of these documents, namely that these agencies are attempting to control, infiltrate, manipulate, and warp online discourse, and in doing so, they are compromising the integrity of the internet itself. Among the core self-identified purposes of JT-RIG are 2 tactics. 1, to inject all sorts of false material into the internet in order to destroy the reputation of its targets, and 2, to use social sciences and other techniques to manipulate online discourse and activism to generate outcomes it considers desirable. To see how extremist these programs are, just consider the tactics they boast of using to achieve those ends. False flag operations, in other words, posting material to the internet and falsely attributing it to somebody else. Fake victim posts, blog posts intending to be a victim of the individual whose reputation they want to destroy, and posting negative information on various forums. Here is one illustrative list of tactics from the latest GCHQ's document we're publishing today. All right, here's some of their tactics. Disruption Operation Playbook. Infiltrate Operation. Ruse Operation. Set Piece Operation. False Flag Operation. False Rescue Operation. Disruptive Operation, and Sting Operation. Other tactics aimed at individuals are listed here under the revealing title, Discredit a Target. And the way they do that is set up a honey trap, change their photos on social networking sites, write a blog purporting to be one of their victims, email, text their colleagues, neighbors, friends, etc. Then they use the tactics to destroy companies the agency targets by leaking confidential information to companies, the press, via blogs, etc., to post negative information on appropriate forums, to stop deals, ruin business relationships. GCHQ describes the purpose of JT Rig in starkly clear terms, using online technique to make something happen in the real or cyber world, including information ops, influence, or disruption. So they use online techniques to make something happen in the real world. Two broad categories: information ops, technical disruption, known as GCHQ as Online Covert Action, OCA. The 4Ds are deny, disrupt, degrade, and deceive. Critically, the targets for the deceit and the reputation destruction extend far beyond the customary roster of normal spycraft. Hostile nations and their leaders, military agents, and intelligence services. In fact, the discussion of many of these techniques occurs in the context of using them in lieu of traditional law enforcement against people suspected but not charged or convicted of ordinary crimes, or more broadly still, hacktivism, meaning those who use the online protest activity for political ends. The title page of one of these documents reflects the agency's own awareness that it is pushing the boundaries by using cyber offensive techniques against people who have nothing to do with terrorism or national security threats, and indeed centrally involves law enforcement agents who investigate ordinary crimes. All right, there it is, cyber offensive section, pushing the boundaries and action against hacktivism. No matter what your views on anonymous hacktivists or garden variety criminals, it is not difficult to see how dangerous it is to have secret government agencies being able to target any individual they want who have never been charged with, let alone convicted of, any crimes. With these sorts of online deception-based tactics of reputation, destruction, and disruption, there is a strong agreement to make, as Jay Lederman demonstrated in The Guardian in the context of the PayPal 14 hacktivist persecution, that the denial of service tactics used by hacktivists result in a more trivial damage, far less than the cyber warfare tactics favored by the US and the UK, and are far more akin to the type of political protest protected by the First Amendment. The broader point is that far beyond hacktivists, these surveillance agencies have vested themselves with the power to deliberately ruin people's reputations and disrupt their online political activity, even though they've been charged with no crimes, and even though their actions have no conceivable connection to terrorism or even national security threats. As anonymous expert Gabriella Coleman of McGill University told me, targeting anonymous and hacktivists amounts to targeting citizens for expressing their political beliefs, resulting in the stifling of legitimate dissent. Pointing to this study, the published Professor Coleman vehemently contested the assertion that there is anything terrorist or violent in their actions. Government plans to monitor and influence internet communications and covertly infiltrate online communities in order to sow dissension and disseminate false information have long been the source of speculation. Harvard Law professor Cass Sunstein, a close Obama advisor and White House former head of the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, wrote a controversial paper in 2008 proposing that the U.S. government employ a team of covert agents and pseudo-independent advocates to cognitively infiltrate online groups and websites, as well as activist groups. Sunstein also proposed sending covert agents into chat rooms, online social networks, or even real space groups, which spread what he views as false and damaging conspiracy theories about the government. Ironically, The very same Sunstein was reportedly named by Obama to serve as a member of the NSA review panel created by the White House, one that, while disrupting key NSA claims, proceeded to propose many cosmetic reforms to the agency's powers, most of which were ignored by the president who appointed them. But these GCHQ documents are the first to prove that a major Western government is using some of the most controversial techniques to disseminate deception online and to harm the reputations of targets. Under the tactics they use, the state is deliberately spreading lies on the internet about whatever individuals it targets, including the use of what GCHQ calls false flag operations. The emails to people's families and friends who would possibly trust a government to exercise these powers at all, let alone to do so in secret with virtually no oversight and outside of organized cognizable legal framework. All right, you can see there's a lot more to this article here. I'm going to move on here because I'm going to leave that to you, but I want you to check out this page. This is over at Edward Snowden's site. And here is a manual you could actually download for yourself or go through. Okay, this is a 50-page manual. And as you go through here, you can just see what they're about. I mean, this is a very well thought out program of where they're going to go, what they're going to attack, the different areas. So basically what they're really working to do is to take control, to deceive through a variety of techniques. See terms in here like psychology, deception, media. So it's quite a bit of information here. You can see this is a blow-up tank. It's not even a real tank, but it was used to deceive in the military at one point in time to believe like we had more tanks. It worked. So the ideas of deception have been tried and true. Okay, they show different ways in which they use these deceptions. All right, so there you go. That's very, very interesting indeed, indeed. And one last piece here in terms with all of this. Homeland Eye's special declaration to take charge of elections. Even before the FBI identified new cyber attacks on two separate state election boards, the Department of Homeland Security began considering declaring the election a critical infrastructure, giving the same control over security it has over Wall Street and the electric power grid. The latest admissions of attacks could speed up that effort, possibly including the upcoming presidential election, according to officials. We should carefully consider whether our election system, our election process, is critical infrastructure like the financial sector, like the power grid. Homeland Security Secretary Jed Johnson said, "There's a vital national interest in our election process, so I do think we need to consider whether it should be considered by my department and other critical infrastructure," he said at media conference earlier this month, hosted by Christian Science Monitor. DHS has a vital security role in 16 areas of critical infrastructure, and they provide a model for what the department and Johnson could have in mind for the election. DHS describes it this way on their website. There are 16 critical infrastructure sectors whose assets, systems, and networks, whether virtual or physical, are considered so vital to the United States that their incapacitation or destruction would have a debilitating effect on security, national economic security, national public health or safety, or any combination thereof. The White House policy directive adds that the federal government also has a responsibility to strengthen the security and resilience of its own critical infrastructure for the continuity of national essential functions and to organize itself to partner effectively with and to add value to the security and resilience efforts of critical infrastructure owners and operations. At this time, Johnson did not mention specific security issues, but the FBI has cited one hack and another attempt. Johnson also said that the big issue at hand is that there is no central election system. Since the state-run elections, there is no one federal election system. There are some 9,000 jurisdictions involved in the election process. So the plot thickens. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen, the final result of this with the election process. But you could see they're trying to covert the process. They're trying to covert the will of the people. Who knows what's going to happen? It's all going to play itself out one way or the other. But now let's change gears because, as I always say, we don't want to just provide a problem without also providing a solution. And the solution is always in the spiritual realm. This article here that I'm going to read to you here, it speaks on that issue. And I just want you to remember the book of Enoch, it says, the wicked and the godless will be removed. And so that's a theme that is very important for everyone so that we don't become discouraged thinking the bad guys are going to always win, because that's not the case. All right, this article is entitled Universal Interference in the Fate of Negative Elite. This is by Michelle Welling. Why would souls want to incarnate into a third dimensional experience? And how will they ascend back to a higher frequency? Beings from the 11th dimension that came through in a quantum hypnosis session answer these questions and more, including the fate of the negative elite. Hanks Jones II has a unique way of putting his friend Lars Sarnault under guided visualization via Skype. Hank is in Texas, Lars is in Sweden. If you haven't seen any of their videos, you can check out Hank's YouTube channel, clicking on this link right there. With Hank's this unique method, the duo is bringing profound information for Earth from a higher dimensional beings that seem to actually be from oversouls in another plane of existence. Their most recent video, titled Hank and Lars to Earth via the 11th Dimension, inspired me to share a few conclusions from their session. In this session, Hank asked Lars if any of the souls on this planet came from the 11th dimension. Lars, or the 11th dimensional being, says that many of the souls coming from this place manifested back on Earth to help raise the knowledge. Those that lowered their frequency to be here now are collecting unique experiences because of their capability of feeling with emotion, which was needed to feed back to the source. These souls incarnated many, many times in order to gather experience and raise the knowledge each time, and to gradually raise the state of existence back to where it was meant to be. Lars said that those who lowered in frequency went through 11 dimension to get here, not just originated from the higher dimension. Normally, when an oversoul sends a shard of itself down into frequency, it has access to the higher knowledge that it carries. However, on Earth, there is a system in place that keeps these aspects from accessing the higher knowledge within. Hank asked if that would change because of the area that our solar system is passing through now, and Lars agrees. However, he says that this has been happening for hundreds of years already. However, the shift in knowledge and consciousness has been accelerating rapidly now as humanity is thinking collectively, because humans are figuring out how to connect back to their collective oversoul with methods like this one. Hank asked what the initial reason was for the higher vibrational entities to lower their vibrations to have a third dimensional experience. Was it intentional to bring as much information as possible back to the universal library or for source? And if so, is it correct that there is manipulation involved in the process because we are in a free will zone? Lars says yes, in a way, because the manipulation was sometime back in your history as being manipulated from outside. But most of your manipulation then came from inside. Even in that state, souls are still collecting valuable experience to take back to the source. Lars said that the lower vibration is not necessarily wrong, because there are many places that have manifestation in the same dimensional frequency as ours that are not focused on negativity. In those realities, they are still able to feel love and connect, and the only boundaries and hindrances to make that connection are those that they choose to hold on to. Hank then asked if there was anything that will hold us back as we kept traversing into these higher vibrational energies. Lars went to say that people will move into higher vibrations only if they choose to. Many people on this planet are saying that they are tired of what is happening on this planet and what is being done to us, and that they are not going to put up with the elite thinking anymore. For clarity, Hank asked Lars what will happen to those who have chosen not to align with Gaia's raging frequencies. Will they eventually leave space and go to another place where they can continue a third dimensional experience? Lars says that they can do that, but they can't hold on to the negative vibration that they carry. It will have to change as the hatred that people are holding on to is resonating totally out of fear, and that no one from outside is actually attacking. It is the human versus human on Earth, and this all comes from within. Most people do not realize that we are creating this reality ourselves. The understanding of this creates an epiphany, which then allows them to make the change within themselves that will change their external reality. Lars says that many people are waking up to this, and that no one is shouting that they want more wars except for a very small group of elite people still steeped in fear. Fear keeps getting worse for this small group because they are losing the control they once had and thought that they would always have. Lars says that if those people still want to hold on to that fear vibration, they're not going to be welcome here anymore, and that there are places for them to go. These places are kind of like hospitals that will help them to heal. Hank reiterated that the small group of elite can't stop what is happening on the planet, and Lars said that the implants that they use are getting weaker and weaker every day. Lars says that love will spread across the planet, and to acknowledge people that are spreading love by saying, I love what you're doing, that is what inspired this article. Lars also said that our goal as humanity is to give love to everyone, even if in your opinion they do not deserve it and do not do harm to anyone. You can tell someone I love you and I respect you, and even though I don't resonate with the way you act. He said that the more than likely they will soon lose holding on to hostility, and that is how you change society. Lars said in closing that we are all connected to every living thing on the planet, including the planet itself. Therefore, I can see the logic in how spreading forgiveness, respect, and love will affect everything in an exponential way, including the planet. Although the planet has no emotions, it has reasons for existence that everyone has to respect. If we help the planet to heal itself, all the bad things humanity has done to it will heal if we raise in vibration together. Hank and Lars have figured out a way to access their higher knowledge, bypassing the frequency controls that separate us from our higher selves. By bringing through information from a place that has no limits, it is easier to understand the hows and whys we are in the situation we are in. We choose to experience this, and some even choose to re experience this in order to help those who have forgotten who they are and where they came from. We all came from a place of love, and even the ones who choose to hang on to negative, dominating, controlling energies. You can check out the whole video here. Very, very insightful indeed. Okay, so you could see that the opportunity is there for something positive to happen. We just have to keep believing because there are forces out there that are working for our benefit, that want to see us succeed in this reality. We just have to keep doing the positive things, believing the positive things, and knowing that everything is going to work out well. All right, here is our daily message for today. This is Archangel Gabriel as recorded yesterday.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message / Tuesday, August 30th, 2016 by Shelley Young. Dear ones, the energetic shifting you are a part of is occurring to serve you, to assist you, to allow you to experience yourself in an expanded way, and to evolve in whichever way and speed is perfect for you. Again we say that surrendering to it all is key to move forward with the greatest amount of ease possible, as is being kind and gentle with yourselves and with others. Just because one energetic influx, one Mercury retrograde, or an eclipse season has been difficult for you in the past doesn't necessarily mean the next one will be. And just because others are finding energies difficult in a certain way does not mean you will experience them in the same way. You are all unique beings and will experience each shift in your own way based on where you are on your ascension journey, your own energetics and astrological influences, and your willingness to move with the energies. So we urge you to get back to basics. Practice good self-care. Listen to what you need and give it to yourself. Treat each shift as a brand new event. Stay present and open. Have compassion for yourself and others. Use the assistance that is always available to you from us by remembering to ask for it. And above all else, know that this is an incredible time on your planet and you are both the stars and the audience of the greatest show on earth. Archangel Gabriel.
All right, very nice message from Archangel Gabriel, and that brings us up to our meditation for today. Okay, close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another breath and exhale again. Another breath and exhale. Now continue to breathe in and out, in and out. And as you do, just feel this breath moving through each one of the cells in your body, pulling out the old, stale energies and replacing them with new, vibrant energy. And as you feel this process, you know and understand that this process continues to happen over and over and over, millions and millions of times throughout the day, throughout your life. And as we think about this process of exchange, we realize that this happens outside of ourselves in the world as well. That the universe has a way of cleaning out the old, making way for the new, clearing out the negative to making way for the positive. And so we simply trust that the universe has a plan, a bigger plan, and all we have to do is participate in the plan that is taking place. And so as we contemplate this and we contemplate the higher intelligence behind all things, we feel a sense of gratitude and we give thanks to this higher intelligence. Heavenly Mother, Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings you have brought to our life this day, yesterday, and tomorrow. Thank you for the opportunity each and every moment to see the mystery that you are unfolding before our eyes. Help us to open up our eyes that we might truly see, our ears that we might truly hear, and our hearts that we might truly love, all as you have created us to be. So let's let the subconscious mind continue on the journey of feeling, seeing, and hearing as we experience the change of life that takes place moment by moment. And as we do, let's just keep sending out positive vibrations to all of those that we meet, that we see, that we think about. So let the subconscious mind continue on that journey. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. All right, my friends, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here as always. I really appreciate that you do take the time to show up and check out the show, see what it's all about. You know, I truly believe that we have an opportunity before us. We can make things better in this world just by continuing to believe that we can make things better. Things look like they're kind of, moving slow. Sometimes things do move slow, but there is great change happening as well. And we are all here to participate in this change. We just have to keep believing, keep believing, keep believing. And if sometimes one of us, feels a little discouraged, we just need to, pick each other up. That's what we're all here for, to help each other out, because we're all in this together. And I know that there's millions of us who are here to help facilitate a positive change. The good guys aren't going to lose this battle. The good guys are going to win. The bad guys right now are just getting the attention. They think they're going to win, but that's not going to be the case. So let's just keep believing, my friends. Keep staying strong, and everything will be all right. All right? All right. That's it for today, my friends. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.